Before you encircle me with your rage in the comments section, please hear me out. We made this video twice about Jack Hughes last year, and in those videos I noted how I'm a big believer in Jack Hughes, how the guy's gonna be amazing, how I know the guy's got it in him to be great in the NHL level, and that is not any different from what I have to say about Alexis Lafreniere. Lafreniere, to me, is going to be a franchise guy. He's going to define the Rangers by the time he's in his prime. He will be a guy who is an absolute two-way monster, a point-producing machine, a guy who knows how to play the right kind of game to succeed at the NHL. Lafreniere is going to be a franchise-defining player for the Rangers. But the thing is, we're not talking about any of that today. We're not talking about how good he's going to be in the future, how he is not a bust, because in my opinion, he is still not a bust. But the fact is, we're 14 games into the New York Rangers 2021 NHL season. 14 divided by 56 is 25%, meaning that we are a quarter of the way through the year for the team in the Big Apple. And with the status of being a quarter of the way through, Alexis Lafreniere is on pace for literally the worst first overall rookie season we have seen in 2 decades. And it's a lot worse than Jack Hughes last year. Now, I know the Rangers fans in the comments section are going to be like, oh, Lego this, Lego that. I know he's played well. I know he has been robbed by goaltenders. I know he has been deployed on weird matchups with weird lines and weird situations. I know Lafreniere has been not bad. But for the sake of this video, we're not talking about any of that. We're not talking about the performance. We're talking about the numbers, the production behind the play that ultimately is what you see out there on the score sheet. Because, man, I thought it was bad for Jack Hughes last year. Oh boy, Alexis Lafreniere is even worse. And again, before we even get into what we're talking about here, Jack Hughes is fine. I said that he was going to be great, and he's great this year. Alexis Lafreniere could, as quickly as later today, turn around the results that I have here on my Excel spreadsheet, because I know the Rangers do play today. It's just, we're a quarter of the way through, so I was like, hey, it's time to make this video now. Alexis Lafreniere in 14 games played has 1 goal, 0 assists, and 1 point for a -7 on the year. And that is completely not what people expected. Because if you put in the numbers, he has an average time on ice of 14 minutes and 42 seconds. Hey, that puts him at a .29 points per 60 and a .07 points per game. And I think just as we reveal more and more names of the first overall rookie seasons that we have seen, you're gonna get just how bad this result really is. Because last year, Jack Hughes finished off the 2020 season with 61 games played, 7 goals, 14 assists for 21 points in about 15 minutes of time on ice per game, making his number up there at a .34 points per game and a 1.3 points per 60. So Jack Hughes, in what many people said was a bad first overall rookie season last year, is averaging a full point more than Alexis Lafreniere per 60 minutes out there on the ice. Now, why is points per 60 even important? Well, because some guys, when they make the NHL, for example, like Jack Hughes, he was given 15 minutes of time on ice per game. Another guy, for example, like Connor McDavid, was given 18 minutes a night per game in his rookie season. This, by the way, if you haven't caught our tail already, first overall rookie season. So when first overall picks make the NHL, these are the numbers they put up in their rookie seasons. And points per 60 is important because some guys play more than others, so that's why we included it over here. The next guy on this list, hey, it's a defenseman, Rasmus Dahlin, 44 points, a .54 points per game, 1.52 points per 60, and 21 minutes of average time on ice, which is actually the most highly successful number that I'm actually showing you on the chart right here. But as you're going to see as we proceed with more players, particularly more forwards, it's really crazy how poorly Hughes and Lafreniere's first overall rookie seasons have been. because in 2017, Nico Hischier had 52 points in 82 games played, a .63 points per game, so he's number one in the chart now, a 2.33 points per 60 with an average of 16-19 time on ice per game. Auston Matthews, these are the big boys now. 40 goals, 29 assists for 69 points in 82 games played, a .84 points per game in his rookie year, and a 2.86 points per 60. Take a look at that average time on ice, 17:38. It is the best in the chart. And I'll say it right here, it does kind of peak off here because you have Connor McDavid next, 48 points, 45 games, one of the only players on this entire chart to have a 1+ points per game, and his points per 60 is at 3.39, which is absolutely phenomenal. Then you have Ekblad, McKinnon, Yakupov, Nugent Hopkins, Taylor Hall. Take a look at the rest of these guys over here on the list. You can see for Ekblad, his numbers are a little bit lower because he is a defenseman. 1.32 points per 60. Hey, okay, that's fine. He had a .48 points per game. Sure, he's not scoring points like McDavid and Matthews, but that's fine. He's a D-man. But still, he's outscoring Hughes and Lafreniere. Then you go over to the other forwards that were first overall. Look at this. They're all kind of in the same ballpark. McKinnon, Yakupov, Nugent Hopkins. They all have similar points per 60s. Their points per game, it's kind of jumping all over the place. Yakupov's a .65. That's still better than Nico Hischier's. Nugent Hopkins had a better stat line production-wise than Nathan McKinnon, which was really cool to see back in 2012. And then you go over to the other guys, Taylor Hall, Tavares, Patrick Kane, and Stamkos. These guys' numbers were kind of inferior to the guys we just talked about earlier. Steven Stamkos averaged a .58 points per game, but take a look at that points per 60. It's 2.34. That's higher than John Tavares. Tavares had a lower points per 60 than Taylor Hall, than Nail Yakupov, than McKinnon. So you can kind of see the first overall caliber. Even the guys who are going down there and being not as great as the guys that come after them, they're all still better than Lafreniere by so much. Some of these guys by 2 full points per 60 minutes. And then you get to the absolute monsters. Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin, 3.75 points per 60. That is the same territory as Connor McDavid, better than Connor McDavid. The only two other guys to have a 1+ points per game on this chart. And you can see the little asterisks I put over here because Erik Johnson and Alex Ovechkin, they actually played their rookie seasons in their draft +2 years, because if you take a look at it, all of these guys, except for Ovechkin and Johnson, played in the NHL immediately after getting drafted. Ovechkin didn't do it because there was a lockout. Erik Johnson didn't do it because he went to college, which was a very interesting decision, but even going back further, you have Rick Nash, Ilya Kovalchuk. These guys were not really producing at the same rate. Look at Rick Nash, a .53 points per game. Hey, that's the same as Rasmus Dahlin, who is a defenseman who was taken first overall 16 years later. He is still a league above Lafreniere and Hughes. Then you go back even further. Patrick Stefan, Vincent Lecavalier, Joe Thornton. Joe Thornton, there isn't any ice time available because back in 1997, 1998, they didn't have ice time tracking. But you can see that Jack Hughes' first overall season, the .34 points per game, it was the worst one since Lecavalier in 1998. Then you had his points per 60, which was the worst one on the chart. You could assume that Thornton's would have been lower, but that's because ice time wasn't tracked back then. But that was a year ago. Now Lafreniere is even worse. He's like a completely other league's worth of production worse. Look at this. He is the only guy over here with a 0.something points per 60. And again, this could change as soon as later tonight when the New York Rangers go out there and they play themselves a hockey game against the Philadelphia Flyers. If Lafreniere goes out there and scores a hat trick, boom! That's the entire flow of the chart changed up and differentiated. And I hope it happens. But again, even though he has been playing all right, even though he's been playing fine, the numbers in terms of points per game, points per 60, they're historically bad. Really, really historically bad. Joe Thornton had a .13 points per game in his rookie season, and Joe Thornton became a legend. I know Joe Thornton's amazing, he's a GOAT, but at the time, that was seen as a terrible rookie season. And now Lafreniere's doing even worse than that. So again, Don't get it twisted. I'm a believer in Alexis Lafreniere. This guy's going to be amazing. This guy's going to be a superstar. This guy will probably win a few trophies once in a while. Art Ross maybe. Selke probably one day. It's going to happen. I know he's got it in him. But even though I'm a big believer in him, I do think it's still pretty interesting to have a conversation about how his first overall rookie season is the worst in 2 decades. So let me know in the comments what you think about this. Obviously, I'm not being harsh or whatever, it's just reading numbers out loud. I do believe he's going to be great, but let me know in the comments what you thought about this video idea. Either way, we'll probably make some more updates as the season goes on, because once Lafreniere starts scoring more points, it's going to be a lot more relieving to take a look at his name on this chart right here, because the way things stand right now, yeah, doesn't look all too good, doesn't it? So let me know in the comments what you think about. You enjoyed this video. So Trolls99, and bye.